begin tonight with the latest on the controversy with Planned Parenthood and the clinic in Columbia. Good evening, I'm Brittany Pieper.
And I'm Jim Rick. Thanks for joining us. Planned Parenthood confirmed the Columbia Clinic has stopped performing abortions. KOMU8's Rose Schmidt is here in the studio with the latest developments.
Planned Parenthood of Kansas and Mid-Missouri confirmed that yesterday was the last day the Columbia Clinic administered pills terminating pregnancies. Planned Parenthood supporters plan to hold a vigil Monday to pressure Interim Chancellor Hank Foley to reinstate McNicholas's privileges in Columbia.
Data from the U.S. Department of Education says more than 90% of college campuses in the country didn't report any rapes in 2014. Both Columbia College and Stevens College didn't report rapes last year. MU reported 6 Title IX violations, including rape and sexual assaults. MU's campus climate survey revealed 30% of female seniors experienced non-consensual sexual contact while at the university. The survey also showed 27% of female undergrads experienced the same contact. Of those incidents, 21% were reported.
This stuff is occurring off campus and off campus housing a lot of times, and that's just speaking from the experience. Off campus housing, it's occurring just in bars or on the way home from bars.
Borgmeyer says even though rapes and sexual assaults do occur in college, they aren't included in the newest data unless they happened on campus.
Here's a look at what's happening right now. Protesters have hit the streets of Chicago after the police department released a video showing a white officer shoot and kill a black teenager. This is the scene right now in the Windy City. Hundreds are protesting against the death of Laquan McDonald, and the officer involved is now being charged with first-degree murder. NBC's Dan Scheneman has the latest.
The dashcam video from October of last year shows police responding to a call of a suspect armed with a knife. And then, according to the prosecutor, Officer Jason Van Dyke opened fire, fatally shooting 17-year-old Laquan McDonald 16 times.
In St. Louis, a group consisting of mostly black police officers announced a no-confidence vote for Police Chief Sam Dotson, accusing him of preventing them from effectively serving the community. The group's president said black officers are not being promoted under Dotson. Discipline practices are not the same across the board, and there is no plan in place to address the gap between the police department and the community.
In Minneapolis, Black Lives Matter protesters marched as police searched for those involved in a shooting last night. Protesters still camp outside the 4th Precinct office following the shooting where 5 people were injured. Police arrested 2 men today. Investigators say they're searching for others. Neither of the 2 arrested has been charged.
42 million Americans are expected to travel this holiday weekend. Almost 1 million of them will be Missourians. Statewide, there were 5 fatalities during Thanksgiving week last year. And this weekend, the Highway Patrol is putting as many troopers as possible on the roads in order to keep drivers safe. MoDOT said one way to reduce the traffic volume and therefore increase safety is for locals to avoid the highways and find alternate routes.
If you go east of Columbia or west of Columbia, the traffic volumes are about 35,000 cars a day. If you're inside Columbia, it's about 85,000. So there's 50,000 cars that are basically local drivers. They're using I-70 to get from one side of town to the other.
Both MoDOT and the Highway Patrol urged people to drive with extra caution during the rainy conditions expected.
Highway 63 near I-70 was backed up for an hour today when an RV caught fire. It happened about noontime. The driver said his engine cut out as he coasted to the shoulder. The wheels caught fire. The estimated fire damage is about $8,000. The Highway Patrol released the names of the 2 people that died in an accident last night in Montgomery County. Nancy and Scott Almstead were killed on Missouri Route 19 near New Florence. Scott Almstead tried to pass in a no-passing zone. He hit a second car driven by Danny Malloy. Malloy was taken to University Hospital with moderate injuries.
After a recent phone scam, you may want to think twice about giving out your personal information. A scammer falsely claiming to work for the United Way of Randolph County called a Mid-Missouri business and tried to get personal information from one of its employees. The Better Business Bureau says scammers take advantage of people who may think they're donating to a good cause, especially this time of the year.
Pretty much scams of all kinds are going to be on the rise during the holidays. It's a time where people are used to giving, they're used to being asked for things, they're used to contributing to charities.
The BBB has some tips to prevent getting scammed. Always ask for the name of any suspicious caller and their organization's name. Ask for the caller's contact info and say you'll call them later. And once you get off the phone, look up the organization online or go to the Better Business Bureau's website to see if they've received any complaints.
Nice weather today, but you know things are going to change. Let's send it over to Kenton for a check of the forecast.
Jim, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone.
Turkey's prime minister defended his decision to shoot down a Russian military plane today. He said Turkish jets issued several warnings to the two planes in the no-fly zone. When the planes continued, the jets shot down one of the two Russian planes. He says Turkey wants to fight ISIS as well. President Obama invited French President Francois Hollande to the White House today. They discussed how to defeat ISIS after the Paris attack. Both leaders expressed solidarity and to send a message to ISIS that they're not afraid. Hollande continues to seek support from a coalition of partners. President Obama says the U.S. will be a part of that coalition.
11 people are dead after an explosion on a presidential guard bus in Tunisia. A source said a bomber on the bus detonated the bomb. The Tunisian president issued a 30-day state of emergency and enacted curfews. He said the country is fighting a war against terrorism. Officials at Youngstown State University in Ohio are investigating messages on rocks that support ISIS. The messages read, "France deserves destruction," YSU supports ISIS, and we are coming. The school painted over the rocks in white, and then students painted over that with an American flag.
Disappointing, but on the other hand, it's good to see, the kids coming out and talking about what's important to them.
School officials still do not know who painted the initial ISIS messages. They say they do not believe it's a credible threat, but still passed the information along to campus police.
A teenager in Japan was arrested after he held two girls' computer hostage for ransom. A 14-year-old scammed the girls by selling them a computer virus. He then froze their devices, forcing them to pay to unlock it. The teen started the scam to illegally collect money orders online. After a blowout last night, Missouri in a nail-biter with Northwestern tonight. In Kansas City, sports is next.
This is Lily. She's a 2-year-old goat at a Virginia high school and was born without 2 of her legs. So, technology students decided to build her a wheelchair using a 3D printer. They say it's a long process, but well worth it. It is incredible what you can do with those things. Here's a look at what we're following for KOMU 8 News today. The Salvation Army says it needs more volunteers for Thanksgiving.
How you can help both tomorrow and Thursday. Join us for KOMU 8 News today starting at 4:30 a.m. Kenton.
Tomorrow's going to be cloudy, but it's still going to be warm. What, 1:30 you said, Chris? Yes. All right, well, here is 2:30, and it looks like it's going to be a wet one. I know it's showing it a bit spotty there, but my bet right now would be that it's going to be a wet game, but temperatures around 50.
That's what I get for asking.
On air, online, on Facebook, on Twitter, on the News app.